Welcome to the Persistent Managers Podcast, where we help managers and direct reports win faster. Hosted by Paul Leon with the support of his wife, Trisha Leon.
In today's podcast, we're going to get into a framework that is going to skyrocket the call to action the next time you're going to conduct training. So here's the framework. So whenever I do training, I always start with the call to action. So we can call this the 3 C's of making a strong call to action. But the first C in this is a call to action. Now, I see a lot of different trainings from many different companies over my years. And the biggest mistake that I feel that I see is they have kind of a too high level of a call to action. And what I mean by that is it's not specific enough. I always will typically say in sales training, simplicity scales sales. And there's a lot to that statement though. So what I do when I create a call to action or I'm coaching companies, big companies, little companies, or just other trainers out there is I always tell them to make sure your call to action is specific enough in the call to action area framework. So instead of saying something like sell more, you want to have something that says use this selling framework over the next 30 days against 30 consultations to have a 25% close rate. Now you want to obviously wordsmith that to get it down as simple as possible. And you always want to stay under 15 words. Anything over 15 words, for a lot of studies have shown, is people start to lose interest or they don't take any action on the call to action. So the next thing, and this is really important, is you want to have that call to action tied really well to a challenge. And when I say a challenge, it should be as specific as you can. So I'm going to give you a story to illustrate that. Early in my sales career, I used to do retail. And we had this selling sheet. And in the selling sheet, there was these 3 plans. And what you would try to do when somebody would come into the store is, no matter what the issue was, and if they have a problem customer, as some people label them, which I don't always agree with, because problems are our best opportunity to make change, is you want to show them this sheet, no matter what it was. If they were coming in to pay a bill, say, hey, real quick, if I can give you X, do you want to see our 3 plans? And there's a value statement in there. But there was someone who was really good. Most sales reps, including myself, didn't have very high numbers. It was probably like 2 out of 10, we'll say. But there was one sales rep that I was working with, and he was selling everyone 5 out of 10, sometimes even as high as 7 out of 10 that would come in the door. So I went up to him. I was like, what are you doing? Like, you're really good at this. And he's like, I'm actually not. There's something I added to the call sheet or to the bundle sheet that you might want to check out. So I looked at his compared to mine, and what he was doing different than everybody else in the bundles is he had pre-planned and put in there the problems via the challenges that those bundles solved on his sheet. That was the only difference. So every time someone came in or actually took the time or give him his attention, he simply said, hey, real quick, if you're having these challenges with your phone, this bundle solves these problems, this bundle solves those problems, this bundle solves these problems. It was very niche and very well done. Well, when he did that, it made it easy for people to buy, which is why I said earlier, simplicity scales sales. So that second C is so critical. You got to tie your call to action to whatever challenge you want to, and this is the third one, to a corrective action. I think sometimes when we hear the phrase, or at least in my experience, corrective action, we typically associate that with something negative, like a PIP or something that's wrong. But I want to be clear, a corrective action is something that can be positive as well. If you're open to feedback and if you can kind of leverage the right type of behaviors and data to make the corrective action you're looking for. So going back to that example where I talked about that sales rep, the corrective action for me was to mirror what he was doing. With me? So what happened was I just picked up what he did. That's it. He had what I was looking for. I wanted to not sell 2 out of 10. I wanted to sell 5 out of 10. And I just simply took the sheet, took what he was doing against his data, which was strong, and just mirrored it. Interestingly enough, after 30 days, you know what just mirroring somebody who was doing something well did? Instead of selling 2 out of 10, I was selling 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 with this simple trick because I gave myself a corrective action based on someone else's successes. And I think that's really important because when we go into these trainings and we start to throw around these high level statements that really don't have a lot of thought, they don't have any impact. What we're saying to ourselves is we're not taking the time enough to really identify and niche our messaging to help the other person, to get down to the other person. In my MBA class in marketing, we talk about, paring down your marketing to as specific as you possibly can. So if it's like mothers, you don't want to just say my product's for mothers. You want to say my product may be for mothers of X age, for mothers of Y many children. You got to get specific. And a lot of salespeople understand that. And what happens sometimes with our call to actions is we just don't mirror the simplicity. So with that said, you can take the 3 C's and this framework, which is your call to action, solving a challenge, and leading to what corrective action to level it up and make it more powerful.
Thanks for tuning in to the Persistent Managers Podcast, which helps managers and direct reports win faster. Join our podcast newsletter for more insights to win faster, completely free.